Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual book launch of Hair Unlimited. It's so wonderful to have you all with us tonight. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Shanthini Naidu, and I'm the CEO of the St. Vincent's Curran Foundation. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am and on which most of us meet tonight, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'd like to invite you all to start off the evening to raise a glass and toast Michael Wolff, a truly talented hairdresser and cancer survivor. Michael was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2016 and was treated here at St. Vincent's Hospital at that time. And please excuse me, because in a very unlikely event, someone has just buzzed the door. So you might hear that they're being let in. I don't know who that is. Anyway, Michael decided he wanted to do something to create awareness around how important it is to have regular health checks. He was so grateful for the excellent care and treatment he received under Dr. Subathani Tharvaneswaran, known as Dr. Subo to most of us, and to Dr. Rowan Gett, who is also told to do something to give back. And so Hair Unlimited, this beautiful book, was born. Michael's love of life and people inspired him to produce this gorgeous book. The magnificent photography in Hair Unlimited is the work of Sydney fashion photographer James Mills, a longtime friend of Michael's. I would like to personally thank both Michael and James for supporting St. Vincent's in this unique way. The book is superb and a testimony to your creative drive and determination to support the vital work of our researchers into the terrible disease that is bowel cancer. On behalf of our clinicians and researchers here at St. Vincent's, thank you both so much. Now I'd like to introduce someone I have known personally and had the pleasure of working with during my career, Julie Ewington, a writer, curator, and broadcaster based here in Sydney. Julie has had a long academic and curatorial career in the arts, always focusing on contemporary art, which makes her ideal to be the MC for the launch of this book tonight. So Julie has known both Michael and James for many years and will not only guide us through the proceedings, but also interview Michael and James to find it so that we can all find out a little more about both of them and what inspires them. So I'd now like to hand over to Julie and wish you all a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for supporting St. Vincent's.
Thank you, Shanthini, and welcome to everybody out there who's joining us tonight for this very exciting occasion. It's been a thrill to watch the development of the book over the last 18 months and very exciting to have it launched here tonight. I've known Michael for only 7 years actually, but I do know that his infamous Michael Wolff salon has been a feature here in Potts Point for about 30 years. So Michael's very well known in this bustling area as a wonderful person, as a generous person, as a wonderful artist and artisan working with hair, a real feature of this very lively neighbourhood from which we're speaking to you. So I got involved with the story because I heard about Michael's adventures with St. Vincent's and how well he recovered and how beautifully he was treated. And then the idea for the book. But first, I'd like to ask Michael just to tell us a little bit about your patient story. What was it like for you, Michael, being a patient?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for the wonderful introduction. I'm sincerely humbled and grateful. And My patient story is really, I was returning from Europe in 2016. It was about mid-January, and I decided that I was going to have all my health checks put in place, and that was eyes, teeth, everything. And I went and had a bowel test, and bingo, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And to much of my shock, when it came to terms with it, I commenced treatment the next week. So I had 6 weeks of chemotherapy and radiation. And during that time, I continued to work. I decided that I would keep my life going as normal as I possibly could. And then after that, I had a 6-week period to recover from that treatment. And even then I thought, oh, I even feel much better now. And so after that, I then went in and had the major surgery to get rid of the cancer. And so I remember coming out of the operating theatre that night, and I, my whole life flashed past, and I kept thinking of all the things I'd been doing, and there was almost shame and blame, and I thought, I'm not going to go down that path. And then all of a sudden I thought, I'm going to use the hairdressing industry as a vehicle to drive this message for people to be really aware of their health and to get regular health checks and turn this into something really positive and something really good. And it was really good for me because it also made me heal better, and I had this attitude to keep all the lights on and keep going forward, and I did. And here we are tonight.
Here we are indeed. Thank you, Michael. So now I'm going to ask Professor Alan Spiegelman to speak to us. Alan's a professor of surgery at St. Vincent's, and he's going to speak to us about some of the background to bowel cancer, which came to Michael so suddenly in 2016. Alan.
Certainly. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Michael, for doing this. And I do want to pay tribute to my colleagues, Dr. Subo, who cares for people with myself in the Kinghorn Cancer Centre, and Dr. Rowan Gett, who ably cared, as we can see, for Michael, and Rowan's an important member of our surgical professorial unit here at St. Vincent's. Now, Michael mentioned bowel screening, and that's critical to the early detection of polyps, which can turn to cancer, and also for cancer itself. And it's well proven that if the population embarks and takes part in bowel screening, as is our national program now, that the rate for bowel cancer diminishes hugely. And that's because polyps are found that can be removed by a colonoscopy before they become malignant. And that's quite critical. Now, some of the work we do in cancer genetics relates to genetic testing. Not everyone can have that at the moment, but ultimately that will be the case. At the moment, it's targeted. And what that does is allow individuals to have so-called personalized approach to their care. So who needs colonoscopy and who doesn't, and how often they need it, can be indicated by the results of genetic testing. I'm not going to go into the detail of specific syndromes for this audience tonight, but that's the overall approach. One aspect, though, of prevention that's not widely known, and is a very common medication, and that's low-dose aspirin. And we know there are countless studies that show that that does reduce the risk for bowel polyps and bowel cancer, taken in an appropriate way and monitored appropriately. And that's something that will come more into play in terms of prevention. And there are lots of dietary approaches as well, which are very helpful also. So I think that it's very important to acknowledge the role that early detection plays, equally to acknowledge the role that appropriate treatment plays, as provided by Dr. Gett and by Dr. Subo, to improve the survival of patients with bowel cancer, so that they, and the evidence is there that our survival rates have hugely improved over the past 20 years and over the past 5 years. A lot of advances. But my interest is not just that, it's prevention and early detection. And that, given that this is somewhat, I mean, the term epidemic is overused right now, but it's a very common cancer, as is breast cancer in our society, and prevention is going to be the key. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Professor Spiegelman. That's good news for modern man and woman, I think. And now it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Subo, who's a medical oncologist and was part of the team looking after Michael. I invite Dr. Subo to speak to us all tonight.
Thank you very much, Julie. Firstly, I'd like to thank Michael and the Foundation for asking me to be a part of this very special event. What Michael has created is an absolute gem and a real testament to his inner strength, kindness, and desire to raise a real awareness amongst others about health and well-being. These qualities obviously make it very easy to look after him. I'd like to now provide a brief overview of the research that I'm directly involved in here at the Kinghorn Cancer Centre, as well as the Garvan Institute. I think Michael and Alan have very nicely covered the importance of early detection and cancer risk, and I'd like to complement that with research pertaining to potential treatment strategies. There are now a wealth of technologies called next-generation sequencing that allow us to examine the genetic makeup of tumors. This can give us clues about how these cancers developed and what mechanisms they use to grow and to spread. While standard chemotherapy agents prevent growth by stopping the division of cells, this additional information can identify patients with cancers that would derive greater benefit from a more personalized strategy. Progress has been slow, but there have been some real advances with regards to a targeted treatment approach in the last 5 to 10 years. In the advanced bowel cancer setting, management has gone from single-agent chemotherapy to doublets or triplets with the discovery of additional effective chemotherapy agents. Furthermore, tumor sequencing has led to the discovery of additional targets within the tumor that can be blocked with drugs and further improve the effectiveness of the treatments that we prescribe. Our key research focus is to further improve our understanding of the complex genomic composition of tumors and identify additional targets to assist with the most fitting treatment, just as a great hairdresser would select the best haircut or style suited to their client. Thank you.
My great pleasure to have a conversation, a short Q&A with Michael Wolff, hairdresser extraordinaire, and James Mills, wonderful photographer, about the making of the book. And I'm going to start with Michael. So Michael, the light bulb moment. I want to ask you when exactly you knew that you were going to make a book. When did it come to you?
It came to me in the hospital that night I came out of surgery, and I thought, with all the contacts I have in the industry, I had so many contacts. I thought, this is something I can possibly do, and that's when that moment came, and it stuck with me for quite some time. And then when I was able to go home and convalesce from surgery, I decided that I would utilize that time and start developing the book and doing all the groundwork. I put a wish list of photographers together, and I mapped out the styling in terms of thinking about, I didn't want anything that was trending. I wanted it to be things that were happening in the moment. It was about using not famous people. It was about using young people, fresh skin, beautiful hair, and that's how it all began.
That was a big moment.
Yes, it was.
It was a big night. And because I think it goes to, I've got another question for you, because I think it goes to the book as a whole. What are your core values? You've telegraphed some of them, but what are your core values as a hairdresser?
Well, it relates back to my branding, as Michael Wolff as a salon. And when I first started my business all those years ago, I decided that when somebody came to get a haircut, it was about ready-to-wear hair. And that's how I always marketed my business, because I think that everybody's hair is different, everybody's face is different, everybody's body shape's different, And I wanted to customize hair to suit the individual.
Great. Well, I can certainly say that I think you do that. I think you do that. But there's one more thing that you do with your clients, with us. Why do you want us to be daring when it comes to choosing a hairstyle?
Because I love individuality. And, I know this sounds, maybe a bit narcissistic, but, most of my clients never ask for what they want. They always get what they're given. And it must work because they keep coming back. But, I think that I have a natural ability to cut hair, and cutting is a real strong passion of mine. And I also feel that, I'm a good colorist as well. Color is my world. And I feel that a good color will motivate a haircut and vice versa. I remember the days when I lived in London and I worked in salons in London. They had specialized colorists and I was a stylist, and that was my specialty. But you see, often the client would come back to the chair to have the haircut, but the color was not quite right. So I always believed in, doing everything and getting it really right and having that personalized service.
That, you just said it, getting everything right, making the decision, getting the daring going, and making something that people can walk out and live with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, now I have to ask a question to James, who's in the Central Coast, but joining us here. And James, you've known Michael for quite a long time, so I'd like to ask you how you got involved with the Hair Unlimited project. Can you tell us about that?
I got a call from Michael, and he sort of described the project a little bit on the phone, and wanted to get together and talk about whether it's something that we want to do together. But honestly, from the brief conversation on the phone, I was 100% in, and I had about 1,000 ideas by the time I'd actually met up with him. And I mean, for me, it was the absolute perfect timing. I used to be in the military, and I'd had some bad injuries, and I had to take a couple of years off shooting, and then to be able to, jump on board with a project like this is just perfect timing and a dream come true. And working with someone like Michael and all the fabulous models and everyone we've had to work with. Yeah.
I guess it's a very different kind of project from your day job where you're working on commission to be working in a creative project like this.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best things about this project is it was our project. It wasn't a client's project. It wasn't, trying to fit, bring your creativity or a brief. It was purely our creativity, and we could just riff together almost like we were making music. Yeah, I mean, Michael we'd be talking to each other the night before a shoot, and he'd tell me about how he'd melted plastic onto a dummy's head, and and then sprayed hairspray all over it, and added some safety pins, and I had no hope of trying to picture it. I just couldn't wait to see what it looked like in the studio the next day. And every time we shot, it was like that. It was just fantastic.
Chemistry.
Absolutely. That's right, Julie.
Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty, actually, James. You brought us right to the shoot. And Michael, I'd like to ask you about how you approached each individual shoot with James, because I know that on any given day you'd get 4 models, and you generally do 4 styles with each of those models. So I just want to ask you, how do you go about devising that many looks and that many styles in a single day?
Okay, so what I would do would be I would first of all, often, things were planned, and sometimes things were not so planned, but in some ways I like the situation when it wasn't so planned, because to me, to put the model in front of the mirror, I call the mirror one of our greatest tools. I could see how the hair would work around the face, and thinking about light, and thinking about when the model went into to the camera. And I also wanted to be able to, because we're on, it's kind of a time limit, I would do the most major hairstyle at the beginning, and then through the process, I would tear the hair down. And it's one of the things I love is the ripping and tearing down of hair that creates so many other moods and so many other styles. And also, I love the feeling of natural hair and not having anything too structured. And often I'd put wind under it and get more things happening. And it inspired James, because James would then say, let's do some more lighting, and we'd go for it.
It sounds like a very fluid creative process. So James, how did you set about devising the shots? I mean, you're on site and Michael's going for it. So how did you come in as the photographer and work around and work with that process?
Well, look, from the outset, shooting that many models with that many different styles in a day, we need to have a really simple, beautiful style of lighting and composition that's going to work for pretty much anything. So that's one of the reasons we did black and white, why we did no styling. Everything had to be about the hair and the girl or the guy, and making them look amazing. So we had quite a small studio for the studio shots, and I'd actually have 4 sets on every wall of the studio, and lights. I'd sort of devise ideas the night before. I'd even paint backgrounds the night before, and it was basically, we'd figure out which hairstyle would work on which background or which set, and just move them around every time. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned black and white photography, and the majority of the photographs in the book are black and white, but there are some fabulous color photographs. And I'd like to ask you, what was it that made you choose those shoots, those models, those shots for color? How did that work for you? And Michael, for that matter.
The idea behind the color shots in the book is we wanted to create a contrast, like quite a contrast. You'll notice the color shots in the book are quite out there, most of them, and we wanted to sort of not make it a book you'd flip through and you feel like just black and white after black and white. So we wanted something that would really pop, like you turn the page expecting the black and white shot, but then it's this beautiful explosion of color in your face. Whether it's the poor girl Charlotte, who's standing in the middle of a lake, covered with an emergency space blanket and a red light, or the girl shooting on the streets of the King's Cross in the middle of the night. The color was to break up the black and white and keep the book, interesting. Not that it's already not amazing interesting, but just to give it that extra level, really.
A liveliness, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now there's a question for both of you, so I'll ask Michael to answer it first. What was it like working together with James? And James, I'm going to come to you and ask you the same question.
It was wonderful. It was really great working with James because, James's lighting, his style of shooting would motivate me. It would make me kind of come up with new hair concepts quite quickly. And often I would try and get a little bit ahead with the hair so that he could move quickly. And we had to work that way because, we had so many models to get through. And there was a time limit on each girl or guy that we shot through the book. And so I think it was like making magic. So it was really great working with James in that respect. Fantastic.
And James, what's your balance sheet on Michael?
Work with Michael, first of all, he's a wonderful guy. He's so much fun to work with. But I think I was just surprised every day, every hairstyle. From Michael's own clothes that he'd wear in the studio, his outfits were amazing even on set when he wasn't on the front of the camera. And I remember after every hairstyle, especially the quite crazy ones, they'd come around the corner from where they'd been doing it. I hadn't seen it because I've been shooting the girl before or the guy before, and they come around the corner like they had this cheeky smile on their face, like they'd done something naughty, and like, have we gone too far with this hairstyle? And there'd be some great, huge hairstyle where they look like a British policeman with those big furry hats, or in front of Buckingham Palace, or plastic draped over their head, and they'd sort of look to see my reaction. It was so much fun, and yeah, surprising would be a great term for it.
Well, I had a follow-up question, but maybe you've already answered it already, James. What was your favourite part of the process? Like absolute favourite part?
Honestly, we did a lot of organising, putting together. I organised most of the models and the retouching and that kind of thing, and the generosity of people when they would give up their time and their energy and their effort into helping us put the book together. Like, I can't thank the models, the studios, the retouchers, everybody that helped us on this journey. I can't thank them enough. So
and
I think,
sorry.
Yeah.
And they knew what the book was for. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so we'd explain that that it was it's to raise awareness for cancer, and the modelling agencies, everyone was so fantastic in coming forward and helping us. And of course, the next favourite bit was actually shooting the book and going on that adventure, an adventure of an unpaved road that we made ourselves. Yeah.
And what was your favourite part of being on the unpaved road, Michael?
Oh, I think for me, the favourite part was behind the scenes, offset, and, getting the models into character. And, I'd get really poetic and say, you're this lady and you own corgis, or you're this girl that's been locked in a box for 20 years and all of a sudden you've been discovered. It was kind of fun, getting the reaction from the models and playing this game. It was really good fun.
Well, we're getting into some good revelations here, but I've just got one final question for you both, and possibly a dangerous one. Out of all the really beautiful images, compelling images in the book, is there maybe just one that you could nominate that you enjoyed particularly, and tell us why? Michael first.
Okay, that's a very difficult question, because to be quite honest, I love every image, but I guess, when it came to thinking about what was going to be the front cover, I thought this is really difficult, because every picture could have been a front cover. There were so many pictures that could have been a front cover. And I guess for me, the last shoot we did was a shoot that we decided to do afterwards, and we thought we needed to do a first Australian. And we had the beautiful Estella Blair come down from the central of New South Wales, and the day we started shooting her, I knew this is the cover instantly. She was very languid. She didn't have to model. She just had to be there, and it was lovely to do her hair. It just moved. She was so delightful to work with, so wonderful to be with. Lovely family, and more to it was that I remember I brought them down from where they live to the city for the weekend, and I set up an apartment for them for the weekend, and they said, would I come over on the Sunday? They wanted to hear my story. And when I told them my story, they were so grateful to hear it, because they said in their community, so many young people from the age of 30 to 50 get diagnosed with bowel cancer, and they will not do anything about it because of the stigma involved and such a personal issue. And they were so delighted that I'd reached out to them and used Estella to do the modelling, because it will make a lot of difference to their community. So in some ways, the cover for me.
That's a wonderful story. And again, it's about health awareness and about getting all those checks, everybody. James, you're the last word. Did you have a favourite moment?
So for me, I'm with Michael. The cover. I remember when I was shooting it, Estella came down, and she's got such a natural, beautiful look, like those almond eyes. She's just such a beautiful girl. But she's from the mid-north coast, quite away from Sydney. She's done some modelling, but she's not like your typical agency model who's shooting every other day. She's not super experienced, and I think she was 15 at the time. And she's sort of come down to Sydney, so she was quite shy in front of the camera, and I was trying to get it open up, but and you could just see, like, you know, she's such a delicate sort of, this beautiful delicate face, and I had this big light set up that's going to flash on her, but you know, I just knew it would be too much, so I switched it off, so it's just the modeling light, which is just like almost like shining a torch on her, and got a special lens that allows for such low light levels, and you know, it just went so beautifully with her sort of shy demeanor, and it just, yeah, it's probably one of the favorite shots I've ever taken in my life, I think. Yeah,
That's wonderful to hear. So the best came last.
That's
in the
right.
classic manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael, James, it's been really wonderful working with you tonight. Thank you very much. And now I have to hand over to Bridget Bayada from De Lorenzo, who's going to say a few words to all of us about the products that Michael uses in the salon and about De Lorenzo's involvement with this project. Bridget.
So thanks, Julie, for the introduction. I've been fortunate enough to work with Michael over the years. We've shot a lot of shoots together, both for De Lorenzo as well as editorial shoots. We've always had a great time together and consider each other good friends. I've seen Michael achieve many successes in his professional career, and I've also witnessed him, you know, seen the courage and the strength he's mustered to face life's challenges, and he's always done it so gracefully. Handles every situation so nicely, including, you know, even the dreaded battle with cancer. He continued even when he was fighting it. He continued to, you know, handle life while he was also trying to fight the disease. We're so proud to see this project come to life. I know how much hard work it is. The collection looks so beautiful. It showcases your talents as well as it showcases how a true humanitarian you are. We now raise our glasses, and on behalf of De Lorenzo, myself, and all your friends and supporters, here's to Michael and James. May this glorious book, Hair Unlimited, go down in the history as one of the greats. We wish you all the very best with raising loads of money to support such an iconic hospital at St. Vincent's, and the important research being done to find a cure for cancer. Cheers, Michael, and cheers to James as well. Thank you. I'll hand back to Julie.
Thank you, Bridget, and thank you everybody for attending tonight. It's been lovely to talk to Michael and James, such creative colleagues, about this project, which is a milestone book in terms of what hairstyling and photography is doing in Australia. Very innovative, very, very energetic. Just before you go, I should tell you that there is, if you go onto the web, you can go to www.michaelwolff.com.au and you can look for Hair Unlimited, the book there. You can also pop into the salon where Michael and I are tonight at number 35 Orwell Street, Potts Point. But also I know that St. Vincent's is going to be sending around an email to all of you who've attended tonight so that you can follow up on the book and be in touch with the foundation. Thank you everybody who's beamed in to join us tonight. Thank you again, Michael. Thank you, James. Good night, everybody. Stay safe.